sight of why we do what we do, and then we justify it. And so let's pray. If we don't know,
something more personal than than an email.
Yeah, definitely. That church, I got a card, I got an email. So an email is what we call a safety catch.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you follow through with that. Probably a phone call, and say, hey, we're glad you came, and anything that we could help for you to settle in Houston, that would be great. Okay, that's the one thing that we can do. So, anything else? Ideas? This is your time. Real learning is here, not the preaching part. That's how I believe, and I mean it. That's why we got to have time. Yeah. Now, next time, or you can just write these down and you can brainstorm for yourself. Healthy group image. Okay, so maybe I have more time. I'll talk to you about how you do a consensus process, where you come together and you sit down and you discuss how you come to a point of deciding together instead of arguing what it is that you agree on. So consensus is there. You can agree to disagree at times. This means I can live with that. You can call yourself fusion, and I can live with that. But I prefer, egg rolls or something like that. Okay, but I can live with fusion. But definitely, dung is no good. I don't want dung. Okay, so this is no good. I can live with this, and I'm definitely okay with that. And so that's a consensus process. So contact ministry, like you're saying, there has to be a process that we all agree how we go about catching people when they're coming, and create that environment of love to keep them in touch. Okay, and then we're going to go through with these other. Any other questions that we've covered so far? Because we're going to kind of wrap it up tonight. One of the rules that I do training is that training is only effective as long as your seat can afford to sit. Okay, 45 minutes to an hour. That's why I don't believe in long sermons. So, what you've learned is in the last 5 minutes. That's what I believe. So oftentimes, now you understand my paradigm of what needs to be done in the church as far as preaching and teaching. But that's why it's very important that we need to go there. Okay. Any questions or comments? Anything not clear? Okay. So let's recap. I'm going to give you a video clips. Ready? It sounds ready? Yeah.
One small boy baffled by all the attention. Parents who wonder what the fuss is about. And a policeman determined to send them on their way. Because this is the boy whose image has shocked China and embarrassed the country's communist rulers. In what has become one of the world's richest nations, like a dog, a child is tethered to a post in the street. To find out why, we follow them home. While his father, Chen Chuan Liu, is away on his rickshaw, his mother is too ill to look after him. So with locks and chains, they secure their son. Since a daughter, they say, has already been stolen. Mr. Chen shows us how he padlocks his son's ankle. He says the boy never cries, never complains. Oh, there's plenty of slack, so he can play.
I already lost my older child. It's a warning to us. You have to be careful. You have no choice but to chain him up.
The boy's name translates as golden egg, the only bright thing about the world into which he's been born, where child abduction is rife, and workers who move to the cities to find jobs have limited rights to education and welfare.
This is a stark reminder that for all China's newfound wealth, there is a gaping chasm between rich and poor, and tens of millions of migrant families for whom the economic miracle means nothing at all.
One estimate says 200
it is very shocking when we are so focused on one idea, we tend to forget the whole thing. I mean, this parent is so focused on the very idea that they're afraid that their child is going to be kidnapped. So they would literally chain their child. And this is what happens in the church oftentimes. We are so focused on certain pet peeves, whatever that is, in the church, and lose sight of the whole idea of what Christ wants us to do, which is to make more disciples. And the programs and the church and the activities, they are only means for us to accomplish that. But oftentimes we fight and we argue and we just get angry over things that don't matter, or we forget. And the reason I showed that is just to illustrate one point, that oftentimes we lose sight of the real purpose behind it. And so I wanted to just kind of give you an opportunity to review. This is too advanced. I'm not going to go there yet. But I'm going to go back and I just wanted to review. Okay, the purpose of what Jesus did and how he spent the time was to multiply the workers, the disciples. Meaning in 2 Timothy 2:2, whatever you do, you equip others to do. That's why, I made it very clear. I'm practically gone in the next 10, 20 years. So it's meaningless. If my sons are not carrying on, and if none of you guys are willing to come alongside of me and wanted to learn and move on with it, it's not going to go forward as Jesus would want us. And so whatever the ministry that we are doing, we need to be producing and multiplying. It's not about us. That's the process, and we're going to learn, and then there are these, how does the program fits in? Oftentimes we are so fixated on the programs, we don't remember what these are. And so we end up arguing over these programs, and oftentimes we don't even remember what the principles are. It's kind of like create an atmosphere of love. Okay, do it. Go do it. It would be different for the English ministry versus the Vietnamese ministry. I know for one thing, for 20-some years in doing English ministry in the Vietnamese church, that the English ministry and the Vietnamese church, they rather go to McDonald's than to stay after church and eat the food that sometimes is not as desirable. I mean, that's my bias. But that's something that needs to be worked through. But the product are Christ followers. So anything that we do, including planting churches and missions, the product are Christ followers. And the process of doing that is you go, you baptize, and you teach, and then you disciple. And part of that is the training. Very important. And then you understand the different phases of ministry. And when you do the programming and the ministry side, you need to be aware of the different stages of maturity where people are at. And then you need to be aware of where you're at before the Lord too. That's why it was such urgency in my heart to say, you know what, this is a nice job. I make good money. But if I don't make this move, I might not have the time to do this. And that's why I was willing. And God blessed me even when we quit both of our jobs, rented our house in Pennsylvania, went to Vietnam for 1 year, helped Cambodian medical missions. And you know what? We're not doing it, and we'll do it alone. I mean, I could have stayed there. There are missions there that they invited us. But we said, no. God's called us to come back here and to get the message out. And so that's why we're here. We're kind of like the signpost, this Vietnamese American